The CAJ Marketwired Data Journalism Award recognizes work submitted by any Canadian media outlet, published or broadcast in any format, where data journalism and computer-assisted reporting techniques set the foundation for the end result. These entries show how without these techniques, a different story would have been told, but did not make the story solely about the data. There are 5 finalists in this category. From CBC News Manitoba, the entry titled 311 Calls for Help Handled So Slowly, Winnipeg Misses Half Its Targets, by Jacques Marcoux and Sean Kavanagh. Using the city's own database of information recorded by everyone who contacts the 311 support line, these 2 journalists set out to see whether Winnipeg was meeting its own standards. Were complaints about hazardous sidewalks, garbage left uncollected, and requests to pick up large items for the dump handled as expected? Well, some were, and some most definitely weren't. The work as published allowed online readers to see for themselves what types of complaints were being resolved under the target and which ones were missing the mark. 10 years and $100 million in political donations is the title of the entry submitted by Valérie Ouellette, Alex Bessonneau, and Marie-Ève Potvin for both CBC News and Radio-Canada in Toronto. Does money buy influence and curry favor when it comes to politics? This was the question answered by this team's download and analysis of 676,000 donations to Ontario's political parties. That analysis showed that money talks, and when politicians don't listen, money walks. The work broke in the midst of when Ontario's Liberal government was facing tough questions about pay-to-play fundraisers, and the province's admittedly lax rules about what kinds of donations political parties can and should accept. It left its readers with questions to consider as the government tabled new legislation to reform the political donation landscape in Ontario. From the Globe and Mail, the entry by Renata Delicio, Les Perot, Alan Mackey, Jeremy Agius, and Laura Blenkinsop, titled The Unremembered. Years after the end of Canada's official armed involvement in Afghanistan, the data on its official Canadian dead is known and commemorated. What the Globe team uncovered through dedicated research and analysis of obituaries, followed by respectful but tenacious investigation to confirm causes of death, were 54 more casualties of the conflict. You won't find most of these casualties honored among those who perished while in Afghanistan and while in active service. These are the victims of conflict who took their own lives, finding themselves feeling as though no other options existed to help them escape the lingering fog of war. The series presents 31 profiles of these soldiers, their service, their return home, and their struggle to receive the support they needed to find their healthy selves. Sharing them has led to many commitments, starting with one to track and recognize those soldiers lost to suicide so they may not be forgotten. The Hamilton Spectator's Joanna Freketich submitted her entry titled The Danger Zone. This Health Beat reporter spent months working to get access to information on immunization data from the local public health unit. When she was finally able to process and analyze it, readers were able to learn about the city's danger zones. Those danger zones, the city's high schools. Her work uncovered that only one Hamilton high school had enough students immunized against vaccine-preventable diseases to protect its community from an outbreak. The others were at risk of an outbreak for at least 2 communicable diseases, with 3 high schools vulnerable to 3 such illnesses. Beyond the alarming data, Freketich looked beyond immunization rates to attempt to provide a comprehensive set of answers. Why were certain schools at higher risk? What role does the anti-vaxxer movement play? It also provided suggested solutions to increase overall immunization rates that could wipe out the danger zones. From the Waterloo Region Record, critics see systemic racism in police stops, submitted by Jeff Outhit. After obtaining data recorded when a Waterloo Region Police Service officer has stopped someone for any reason, Outhit started asking that data questions. Questions such as, what did police record when they stopped and carded someone? Where did those stops take place? Who was being stopped? The magic of his work came as the answers confirmed that people of color were stopped more often, not just in proportion to the number of Caucasians, but in how an individual had a greater chance of being stopped multiple times. The reaction to these proportional analyses drives the storytelling. An added audience bonus is the ability to see and interact online with the work behind the story.